Mic is on, the camera, and we are live. Perfect. Shabbat Shalom, my dear friends, judges of LVE, the LVE tribe, as well as everyone else accompanying us. On this so precious, a little more cooler day of Shabbat, the last one of the month of Etanim, the last one of the month of October, belonging to the 26th of Etanim, the 7th month of the year 5991, belonging to the 22nd of October of the year 2022. And we shall study yet another chapter of Beliefs, part 24, Yahweh Ekhad, part 9. Today is a very special day because we've started to feel that autumn has truly entered the season. We've just passed Sukkot Tabernacles with a spectacular ambient, spectacular temperature, even with rain and all, without it bothering us. And we are in the last Shabbat of the month of Etanim and of the month of October. And today we shall study. Now, this time we will, a little bit more of what we had been studying about the Shemah and what is left about Yahweh Ekhad. Very well, without anything else, we shall seek our Elohim. Beloved Yeshua, we give you thanks for this so precious Shabbat, and thanks for us having been able to have an unforgettable Sukkot, preciously so. I ask that your presence be in every one of your children, that you prepare us in this time that is left, that you give us the faith and the confidence that we know that we are living the last final days, and that you accompany us in this study, that we comprehend you a little bit more and what you have left in your book. All this we thank you for in your precious name of Yeshua. Alleluia. Today we will continue to study the Shema Yahweh Ekhad, but before that, I'd like to mark certain things, highlight them, and even the dates in which I find that are very interesting. First of all, today, a day like today, just like that, 178 years ago, the 22nd of October of 1844, today's the 22nd of October of 2022, exactly 178 years ago, a group of thousands of people here in the US of A, as well as many other parts of the world, awaited on that Yom Kippur for the return of Yeshua. They waited in vain because nothing absolutely happened. It was the great deception, big letdown, that is, with Miller and other groups believed that the purification of the earth was coming on exactly that day. It was called the last part of the movement of the 7th month because William Miller had thought that it was the previous month of 1844, but they made him see that the year 0 would not be counted, and it's from -1 to the year 1 of Yeshua. So then that mistake was fixed. It was in 1843, but 1844 of the 2300 days, and the sanctuary would be purified. And the purification of the sanctuary that William Miller wrongly so believed that it was the earth, he got to the conclusion that the earth was to be purified of all wickedness after the 2300 days. So then on that 10th of Etanim, the 22nd of October of 1844, they expected Yeshua to return. Yeshua did not come. It was the great letdown of the Millerites. William Miller, dies 5 years later, and that is where some people that were Millerites are born, is what is called the Adventist movement of the seventh day, and it was to be born of those dates, of all that great awakening awakening, religious awakening that took place in the 1800s. So then I found that that was interesting, that precisely 178 years ago that event took place. Very well. I'd like to remind you that the moon shall be seen this Wednesday, October 26th, which is the 30th of Atanim. So then it is not absolutely necessary to see the moon, but if the 30th of the month, and the moon will be very visible and will give a beginning to the month of Bul or Heshvan, which is the 8th month. So then this Thursday, so then Wednesday evening at sunset, we shall see the moon, which gives a starting point for the month of Bul or Heshvan or Etanim. Only as a historical fact, before we would see that the destruction of the 217, since the calendars were crossed, the 217, we would take it to be the 7th month as the first month, as the Jews take it as the first month. That's why you have the festivity of the new year. That's where they change the year, what they call Rosh Hashanah, or the head of the year. So then we would also take into account that it could be, instead of the 217 of the calendar starting with Aviv, but rather the calendar starting with Etanim, 217 would be Bul second, and I'm just giving you general information. The 17th of Bul, the second would be the second month, the 17th of Bul, and also that the 17th of Bul, taking that calendar into account, beginning in Etanim, I'm just clarifying, it would make it so that Shabbat in November 22nd would be the 217, just playing with the dates. I don't believe that it has anything to do, but I'm just giving you general information. 217 would be Shabbat, 12th of November, taken into account that it starts as if starting the year in Etanim or Tishri. It's understood, right? Okay, very well. This week, after Sukkot, after having Sukkot, a marvelous Sukkot, rather very memorable one, precious, we had the best food ever. We thank you and we celebrated with you all the pictures you have uploaded of your personal feasts of Sukkot in different parts of this flat earth. After the feast ended, I started to make the calendar because I only had it up until the following 2 months. So then I started to make the calendar and I said, I'm going to make it up until Shavuot of the year next year. See what I get. I wasn't clear whether there was going to be an 8 or 2 or not, the second. So then I started to make the calendar. From here on out, write down the dates that I'm going to give them to you, even though later on, with time, I'll give them to you, when the month gets here, and precisely since after that we get the month, which is the festivities, the one of Aviv and the sun, where the year begins. But before that, you can write down the dates that I give you now. If you write them down now, it would be a lot more easier later. Very well. When will the Jubilee begin? The Jubilee that we declared, when will it begin? We know that it begins on Adar 1st. That's why in Yom Kippur of this year, we played the shofar announcing that the Jubilee was getting here, and the Jubilee begins from the first month of, not of Adar, did I say Adar? Aviv. The first day of Aviv. Once the month begins, once the year becomes the year 5992, that is where the Jubilee begins. So then, when will it begin? I'm about to tell you. That's why I said pay attention, write things down, because here are the dates. And these are the dates that are The final ones, I'm always very exact of when the moon comes out, so then they're very, very, very certain. Let us first go to the month of Adar, the last month. Month number 12 of this year, of the year 5991, the moon shall be visible for the 12th month, Tuesday, February the 21st at sunset. Tuesday, February 21st is the last day of, well, the February 21st is the day in which Adar begins, the last month. So then the month of Adar, the 12th, is on Wednesday, the 22nd of February. Wednesday, the 22nd of February is when the month of Adar begins. So then, the equinox will take place March 20th in the morning here in California, just so you have an idea. March 20th. Why is it so important, the equinox is? Because every one of you knows this, but there are some noobs that don't know this. For example, Yahweh in Bereshit chapter 1 teaches us that He made and created the sun, the moon, and the stars for the days, the months, and the years. So then, for the year change, we have to see the sun, the moon, and the stars. The sun shows us when the day begins. The sun also tells us when the day begins. When the sun goes down, the day begins. But the years, particularly, and here comes an endless mistakes of the whole world. The Jews, which in some point in time had this correctly, now they didn't have it since they couldn't watch from their beloved Jerusalem every year. Hillel II, since they were in exile, he calculated a mathematical calculation algorithm that was going to be good for the whole Jewish religion to celebrate the feast and also to mark the months. Of course, we have to have the months in order to know the feasts. And when we have to add a month, and in what year. So then he had to have based it in the moon and the sun and the stars. He based it in statistics. So then that is why the Jewish religion, without caring when the moon comes out, they begin the month because their calendar is fixed already. So then sometimes they begin it when the moon has still visible of the previous months. That takes place. That's why they're always ahead as in regards to our calendar. According to how these stars move in heaven, they don't care if the moon has been seen or not. Since they have a specific calendar, they begin the month without caring about the moon. They also begin the year without caring about the important factor of how long has the year. So then with all these statistics, Hillel made a perfect, formidable work, but it wasn't exact. It's formidable because it kind of hits the mark throughout the years, but it's not precise because there are years where they add a month where they shouldn't, and there are years where they need to add it and they don't. But then next year they are still with the real calendar. They begin the month without seeing the moon, so then that is what makes the calendar not precise. Then you have the Karaites, which is a group of Jews which do not accept the Talmud. The Karaites are a group that is spread out throughout the whole earth, which base themselves on the Jewish religion under their own interpretation of the Torah without paying attention to the Talmud. Of course, they're still wrong. It's a false religion, of course. And they base their calendar on a fallacy. They say that the word Aviv means the wheat. So then the Feast of Aviv, which begins with Pesach, and then later you have Bikurim. Bikurim is the feast or the offering of the wheat. They say with their human logic, you cannot offer up green wheat. So then in order for it to be celebrated in the way that it should be. So the barley rather, I've been saying wheat, has to be mature, and it cannot be anywhere in Israel, but in Jerusalem, and it cannot be ripened by artificial irrigation, but rather natural rain. Because they, stupidly so, they relate the month of Aviv with what Yahweh wants to give. So then they say the barley, which is nowhere found in the Bible, is the clock that initiates the year. It's the clock. So then they plant a field of barley somewhere close to Jerusalem. They don't artificially irrigate it, but naturally. So then when the natural barley ripens and they see that it's about to ripen, then they declare the month of Aviv. So then if for the month of Adar, the barley, they think that it won't ripen, that it's too green still in the month of Adar, and then when they get to the month of Aviv, it'll still be green, then they have to add forcefully a month. When they see that the barley will mature, then they see, okay, this month cannot have an added month. Adar ends, and we start with Aviv. Because the barley is what regulates it. And up until today, they have a field, which is from where they get pictures from, and they have experts, rabbis of that religion, Jewish religion, the special one, the Karaite one, and they check the barley, so then they declare if that year has a month that should be added or not. That is false. Another fallacy. Absolutely wrong, because the scripture says that the sun, the moon, and the stars are Yahweh's clock. Tell you the years, months, and days. It has nothing to do with barley. Absolutely none whatsoever. So then, what is the role of Yahweh's clock? This is where we have the equinox. The equinox is when the sun passes from the southern hemisphere to the northern one. So then from the line of the equator, the sun goes around this flat earth in the months in which here is from the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere, pardon me. No, I did say that correctly, right? No, wait, it was correctly from south to north. In the months of autumn and winter, the sun is underneath the equinox. The sun spins on the earth, but it spins from the equinox below, and it goes all the way around to the most extreme southern point, and then it comes back. When the sun is precisely midway through its path between south and the earth, say south and north, on this flat earth, for example, the sun has its path in circles on a permanent basis, but it's never the same circle. It always advances, it widens, and when it gets to the northern point, it starts to come back to its maximum point in the south, and it's always backwards, upwards and downwards, north and south. When it's in the south, we are in winter. So then when the sun comes back, precisely halfway through its path is what is called the equinox. The equinox is equal. The word itself tells you it's in midpoint from north to south, right in the middle, which is the line of the equator. The sun is precisely in that point. It is very important in order to know if we add a month or not. That is where we have a crucial factor of how the sun plays a crucial role in order to dictate the year. So then, once we get to the month of Adar, we have to notice at what point in time the sun is going to cross the midpoint, in other words, the equinox. The rule is simple. When the sun gets to the equinox in the month of Adar, we have to see whether the moon is visible or not. If the moon of the month of Adar is still visible, it means that it's still not hidden. Do you understand? The moon of the month of Adar is still visible. The last month, 12th month, it's still visible. And the equinox takes place. The sun is going on the middle and it's already coming back. Then there's no need to declare another month because the sun has already crossed the midpoint of the earth, crosses it to the north point. So the moon of the Adar month is visible, so then we don't have to declare an extra month. 12 months, perfect. Now, when we get to the month of Adar, and we have the equinox take place, the sun is in the midway point. If the moon of the Adar month is already hidden and you cannot see it, is in the dark side of its path, then we have to declare for sure another month. Did you understand that? Well, this rule was the one that was communicated to, because it's very old, communicated to William Miller. William Miller, 178 years ago, declared that the month of September was not the right one because the equinox had not taken place with the moon. So then he declared that the day, he calculated the whole month, and so he had all the months, and that's what was the 22nd of October. The whole world, the Judaic world, the whole Jewish region celebrated on the 23rd of October because they did not take into account the sun, but the algorithm that Hillel II gave them. The Karaite groups, against what Ellen G. White says, that they either had the information or they always just lie. In the great controversy, it says that William Miller based his decision in the Karaites in order to declare one more month. And right there, instead of it being on the 23rd of September, it was the 22nd of October. But that's an enormous lie. Nehemiah Gordon, which is the president per se, the president rabbi of the Karaites today, some years ago, they asked him, your group, how did they celebrate in the year 1844, to see if what Ellen G. White said was true. So then Nehemiah Gordon did a whole study. There are many different groups of Karaites, different ones that were not so organized. There were different factions of Karaites. So then he investigated according to their calendar and their story in 1844 when they celebrated. And remember that they celebrate according to the barley. It has nothing to do with the equinox. As it turns out, they celebrated along with the whole Jewish body the 23rd of September. As it turns out, they once again lied and they celebrated. These guys are so fake. They did wait for a day that it did not take place, and they did so in a calendar that nobody uses, not the Jews or the Karaites. What happens is that that's the White lie, because she's the one that says that they based themselves with the Karaites. He did not use the Karaites, but he based himself in the equinox. That is the secret. We learned about this in 2011. And we learned it in a very special way. But I'm not going to tell you that story now. But rather, what I'm going to tell you now is that many different groups, Messianics and some Christian ones that follow the feast, Now they rediscovered this of the equinox, and they start to base it on the equinox. And wow, that we, in the time that I declared it in 2011, no one in the world had taken into account the equinox. Now there are many groups that take the equinox into account, and I find that rather very, very particular. Calls my attention, but either way, we have the calendar the way the scripture says, and I'll read it to you just in case. Bereshit chapter 1, Genesis chapter 1, 14. Then Elohim said, "Let there be lights in the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be as signs for the different seasons." It should say months, for days and for months. So then, some translate the Moedim, the feasts, same thing. Months, days, and years. Where are they then? For months, days, and years. It is clear what Yahweh's clock is. It is not, barley is not an algorithm, but rather is what you see in heaven. It's like clockwork. Exactly, something round with the moon, the sun being the long head, the one that spins the fastest. The moon is the shorter one, and it's slower, and that precisely gives us how it works with the days in this calendar of Elohim. So then, I've already explained to you what the function of the equinox is. The equinox will take place Wednesday, takes place the 20th of March, that's when it takes place, which is the 27th of Adar in the calendar, which I just gave you, of the year 2022, the 27th of Adar. 2023, in the calendar of Yahweh. With the moon of the month of Adar visible, the moon will be visible when the equinox takes place, to the 0.7, in other words, it's not visible to the human eye. Human eye becomes more visible from 1.2%. If you're lucky with a perfect heaven, perfect sky, and everything in your favor, then maybe you could see the moon from 1.2 and on. 0.7, the human eye cannot see it. So then it'll be hidden in the time in which the equinox takes place. Which means, what does that mean? That there is a second Adar. Exactly, we have to add a month. So then it's a bad news for some, saying, one more month for Babylon before the Jubilee. Yes, one more month for Babylon, one entire month before the Jubilee. So then there is a second Adar. The second Adar begins the 13th month with bad luck, number 13 for the world. It'll be visible the 22nd of March at sunset, the 22nd of March at sunset. So this is a Wednesday, March 22nd at sunset. That is when, instead of the new year, no, we add a 13th month. The 13th month begins in this clock of Yahweh's on the earth. So then instead of a Adar second, I like saying Adar second instead of saying Adar 2, because it means like the second day of Adar. So then Adar the second would be Thursday, March 23rd. Write down, all of you listening, Thursday, March 23rd. That is when the month of Adar the second begins. It has one more month Babylon has in order to reign, and now I shall give when shall the Jubilee begin. But before that, let's see if you have already given us likes. Just a second. We have 41 likes. No, wait. 183 likes, 184 likes, and 238 people watching. Let's see if those who have forgotten make that number go up. Let's see if it is so. Because maybe you forgot, maybe the chat was so interesting that you forgot to drop a like. So then it's going up. We're at 191. Once we get to number 200, we'll see when does the year begin. So let's see, 196. Okay, we'll get there. 204. Okay, 204. Okay, 204. So now I can tell you when the year 5992 begins, which the Supreme Court of the earth, heaven and earth, declares a jubilee. When does it begin? The moon shall be visible, and this is very good, rather good, because without absolutely not knowing anything, it's very interesting. The moon shall be visible. In other words, the last month of the year 5991, the moon shall be seen on Friday. Friday, it really called my attention. Friday, the 21st of April at sunset. Friday, the 21st of April at sunset, which means, incredibly so, is that the Jubilee in the new year will begin on Shabbat. That's interesting because precisely the whole new millennium is based on what the Shabbat means. And this Jubilee is as if it gives a beginning, already the part of the redemption of this earth, the rest of this earth. And precisely on a Shabbat is when the Jubilee begins, on a Shabbat. And it's rather incredible. I'll give it again. The month begins and the year begins. The Jubilee begins 5992 on Shabbat, the 22nd of April. In other words, Friday night, when the sun goes down, is when the Jubilee begins. It really called my attention. I'm going to give you the exact date of Pesach, just so you write them down. Very well. But this is just speculative, okay? It's the dates that I like to play around with the dates to see where the dates take me, because we have nothing else to do but rather just wait, rather just prepare ourselves, purify ourselves, become better. So then I play around with the dates, which I find to be very, very interesting. I want to, first of all, say that when we talk about the purification of the sanctuary, all of you already know this. This is the sanctuary, this is the temple of Yahweh. The human body is the temple. That is the sanctuary. Like when Yeshua said, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I'll raise it up. We are the temple of Elohim. This is the true temple. When was the abomination that maketh desolate? It would be in the temple. When all the Christians think that they have to rebuild a third temple and then the abomination would be there, it is clear for us, for the eternal truth, that the abomination that maketh desolate had to be placed in the temple, in the body of the human being. Precisely, we saw that? Yes, we did. I cannot say anything else because I want this video to stay up. So then we've all seen the abomination placed in the temple. That's what Yeshua says when you see the abomination in the temple. Run. Why run? First of all, so that they don't give you the abomination on you, and because the time has ended, so then the abomination that maketh desolate, the abomination that killeth, that destroyeth, had to be placed in the temple, and not in a third temple in Jerusalem, but rather in the temple of a human being. And that has been impressively so, incredibly so. Very well. So then, everything that has to do with abomination and purification in the temple, there's a key date. Out of all the dates that we have in the calendar of Yahweh, which is the day that has to do with the temple specifically so? Yom Kippur, correct. Yom Kippur. Because in Yom Kippur, the temple would be purified. Or per se, the temple would be purified. So then, yes, we have an abomination in the temple. There's a day, the most probable day of all the days of the calendar is Yom Kippur. It's also the day of purification. For some, it's the purification. For others, it would be the desolation. You understand? Or the abomination that makes desolate in the temple. Very well. I shall establish what we've already seen. In Yom Kippur, day of purification, I'll call it the abomination in the temple. In Yom Kippur, because that's the only feast in which the temple would be purified. The other feasts have nothing to do with the temple, not Pesach, nor Bikurim, nor Matzot, nor Shavuot, nor Yom Kippur, not Yom Teruah, nor Sukkot. The one that would center the temple into the most holy place, the only one, which is at Yom Kippur. So then the one that has anything to do with the temple is Yom Kippur. You do understand this, right? Okay. Yom Kippur of the year 2018 was on October 20th. Yom Kippur, the 20th of October of the year 2018, without even planning this, is when a purification began for us, for the children of Elohim. Because what began there? What began was the teaching of the new divine medicine. That's when it started. You had the slightest clue, and on that day in Yom Kippur is when you started to find out how the temple works, how to take out those things, the impurities of the temple, and the incoherences of the temple. How do you eliminate the sicknesses of the temple? It is the purification of the temple. Up until that point, we thought that was just a little pill or diagnosis or you're fucked and you can't do anything. But we found out precisely in the moment in which, I'm not saying the best moment, but the only moment that exists in the year that has anything to do with our body, with the temple, we started to discover what it is for the true purification of the temple is through the new divine medicine. Yom Kippur on October 20th is when the new medicine begins. If from that day on we add 1,260 days, takes us to what date? All of you know, if on that day, Yom Kippur 2018, we add 1,260 days, it takes us to what day? You have to know this by memory. Takes us to what date? Where? To the judgment, correct, the judgment, to April 2nd of the year 2022 of this year. It would seem to be too far away, but April 2nd of 2022, what happens on that day? We make judgment upon Babylon. From 3.5 years since the purification began, we got the exact date of the condemnation, the sentencing of Babylon. It's when that judgment was done, and that was 30th of Adar, and Adar 30th means the last day of the year. And the last day of the year, let's see if you understand the dimension of the words that I'm teaching. On the last day of the year, before we go into the year 2091, in the year 2090, Adar the 30th is when the judgment began, precisely. When we finished the judgment, we went to 5091, because it was on Adar the 30th, and there was not going to be a second Adar. Last year, there was no Adar second. Do you understand this, right? Very well. Very well. Now I'm going to show you another thing. From Wednesday, let's go to the last day of the year. The last day before we go into the new year, before we go into the month of Aviv, before we go into the Jubilee. The last day before we go into Jubilee, the date that I just gave you. Wednesday at sunset, precisely at sunset, when the Shabbat is starting, in other words, the Jubilee and all the rest, the 21st of April, it begins on the 22nd due to the Gregorian calendar. I want you to understand this. But it starts on the 21st for us. That's when the Jubilee begins. You understand this, right? On Friday, the sun goes down and the Shabbat begins, and if the new year begins, the Jubilee begins. But it's still in the Gregorian calendar, the 21st, not the 22nd. It's at midnight. So then, notice this. April 21st, at sunset of the year 2023, which is what we're waiting for, which is 2023. If we take away 1290 days, why backwards? Because Daniel 12 says, and from the time, something about time, and from the time in which the sacrifice, the perpetual, is taken away, the abomination that maketh desolate, and it, in the temple is enthroned, the abomination that maketh desolate, and we know what that is. All of us know what that toxin is. The crib, okay, not the crib. So, the tribulation, like a czar, the cup, exactly, the cup. Since they told us that there's something in your body that was a lie, but a lot of people say that it was true. So then that abomination I'm talking about before the cribs, that in the time in which, notice what the text says, from the time, what time? In which the sacrifice, perpetual sacrifice is taken away, not the sacrifice, just the perpetual, the normalization, the normal, it's a very, I don't like this word, the normal, which means nor evil, sounds like nor evil in Spanish. When that's taken away, the temple will be altered. The psyche of the people, that something is taking you from that time on, and it is like placed in the throne of the temple, the abomination of the desolation. There shall be 1290 days. So then it has something to do with Yom Kippur, because if in Yom Kippur and the purification, might it not be when the throning, I don't know what the right word is, the throning, the enthronement of the problem in the temple, might it be there? That has to be Yom Kippur. It has a lot to do with this, because we're talking about the temple, or the purification, or the evil that causes desolation, the abomination that maketh desolate. So then, I read the text to you, 1290 days, which has to do with a curse that was going to be placed in the temple. So then, if we take from Friday, the April 21st of 2023, and we take away 1290 days. I started to think about this. If now that we go into the Jubilee, might it be from that day? And this is just speculative, okay? I see it that way. 1290 and backwards. See, where does it take us? 1290 days until we get to the Jubilee. From the Jubilee and 1290 backwards, where does it take us? It takes us to a very interesting day. What is that? Very interesting, but it's incredible. Chillingly so. I'm telling you. Let me see what the likes are to see. Okay, online they already know. It's to October 9th of the year 2019. And what happened on that day? Yom Kippur. Wow. 1290 since the year begins, and that is because it has an added month, which is the 13th month. You understand this, right? Then you tell me whether the Jews, I didn't check this, whether the Jews are going to add another month. Tell me when, Leslie, if you see this, when they post it, tell me if our beloved brethren Jews are going to add another month or not. So then, But it is shockingly so, this how precise this date is, since the Jubilee begins 1290 days of abomination backwards. Where does it begin? On a Yom Kippur. These dates, I cannot make them up. You can't make this stuff up. I cannot make up for the equinox. I can't make any of that up. I cannot make any of that up. But when I see these things in time, I say, wow, 1290 years up until Yom Kippur. Had to be on a Yom Kippur. Yes, it has to be, because Yom Kippur has to do with the purification, has to do with the curse in the temple. Yom Kippur does exactly. Yom Kippur. Marvelous. Absolutely marvelous. So then, I'll sum it up for you. From Yom Kippur 2018, that the purification of our temple of the children of Elohim, plus 1260 days, takes us to the judgment of Babylon. Yom Kippur 1290. That's fine. So then, as it turns out, it is a leap year. So then we'll be on the same calendar. They're going to add it. Sometimes we're off, but this year we're together. This year we're hand in hand with them. How interesting is this? So then I'll sum this up. Yom Kippur 2018 plus 1260 is when we had the judgment to Babylon from Yom Kippur of the purification of our temple, the purification of the temple of the children of Elohim. To the following year of Yom Kippur 2019, what begins in 2019? Precisely in Yom Kippur, what begins? I mean, what? The phrase tells it to you. Precisely, that's what the date is, October 19th of 2019. What bears the name of 2019? They call it December, but they say it started before. We noticed that it happened in December, but even before, what happened in 2019? Something that's called something 2019. And the people say that's something that maketh desolate, because it stopped everything, the churches, the businesses, and we have terrible economy now because of that desolation that killed, quote unquote, millions of people, that desolation that caused havoc. I don't even want to name them. They call it a pandemonium. Pandemonium is a desolation. When the desolation began, Yahweh tells it to you. When it began in Yom Kippur 2019, Yom Kippur 2019, and if it started right there, that desolation, which is the only feast that has to do with the temple, either the temple is purified or is cut off from the people. Those that do not fast on that day, what happens? They are cut off from the people. It's a very special date. It's all symbolic. So then either Yom Kippur, your purification begins, or Yom Kippur will begin your desolation of the temple. But the date is Yom Kippur. From the year Yom Kippur 2019 is when the desolation of the world begins, of all the human beings. Except for us, a year prior, Yahweh started to purify us. So then since he started to purify us, when this one got there, we said, what? That's not for us. That is not for us. And we see it, and we see that it does not exist. It does not exist. So then Yahweh, in the perfect calendar of his purification, began first, the one of his children, and then the abomination that makes it desolate began a year later. It couldn't start together because we weren't going to know the difference. You understand this, right? So then first he had to purify us, his children, in order for later to see the difference of what he was going to send into the world. And he sent on that same date, Yom Kippur 2019, the abomination. And the text says, what does the text say? From the time, I'm going to say from Yom Kippur on, that is the temple from Yom Kippur, in which the perpetual is taken away and it's enthroned in the temple, the abomination that maketh desolate. There shall be 1290 days from Yom Kippur, in the year 2019. The abomination begins plus 2000, you get, shockingly so, to what? The first day of Jubilee. Wow. If that isn't by chance, if that is by chance, then I look for some very good chances. I mean, way too good, way too good, way too good. There's something else. Daniel 12:12. The Torres Amat Spanish version says, "Good tidings to the one that waits until 1335 days." Says you have the 1260, you have the 1290, and you have the 1335. It says, but the 1290 and the 1335 start together. The 1290, no, not those. Nowhere does it say that. But the 1290 and the 1335 says, and from the time, also Yom Kippur 2019, in which the sacrifice is taken away and the abomination that maketh desolate, the pandemonium, which will abominate or make the bodies abominable, there shall be 1290 days. Good tidings to the one that wait until 1335. So then they start from the same date. It says, good tidings, the one that goes past the 1290 and gets to 1335. And what happens if we add Yom Kippur 1290 to 1290 and add 1335? Where does it take us? Where does it take us? Chillingly so, takes us where? To 217. Exactly. 217. The 17th of Ziv or Ishar. In other words. These are impressive dates. From Yom Kippur 2018 is when the purification of our temple begins, in order to take toxins out of our body, which are not by genetics, not because our organs got ruined because they came bad from the factory. No, Yahweh showed us how to purify our temple. So the following year is when the abomination, the pandemonium, and it gets to 1290, and that's when the Jubilee begins. But it doesn't say what will happen. It says 1290 because that's when the regular year begins and the Jubilee begins. But it says, he that waiteth, in other words, that goes past the 1290 and gets to 1335, they are blessed greatly. What is the blessing for the one that waits and gets to is 217. We're at 217 of the year 5992. This date is interesting, isn't it? Wow, I mean, wow. These are wow. Very well. Taking all that out, Pesach of the year, the following year, is Aviv 14th. You already know this. Write this down. Pesach will be Friday, May 5th. So then we're going to enjoy a Pesach. Which is May 5th, when it becomes a Shabbat. Because how do we keep Pesach? The 14th is the last day of preparation. When the sun goes down, that is when we do the rite of the washing of feet, and then later we take the matzah, which is unleavened bread, and we take wine, which represents the blood of Yeshua, and the dead meat without leaven of Yeshua, and we eat it as a sign of triumph. We eat the meat and the blood of Yahweh dead. That is what we eat, even though the blood is alive, because we know that Yahweh, but the meat, the flesh is dead. So we accept that flesh that died, we eat it, but when it's already on the 15th, because on the 14th, in that evening, it becomes the next day. So then Friday, and then once we enter into the Shabbat, it's Pesach. Marvelous, it is Shabbat and a Pesach dinner, matzah. So then matzah, it is from the 15th to the 21st. Obviously, it's a double Shabbat. Also that day, that same day, that becomes that we're having dinner. It becomes also the feast of the first day of the feast of matzah. It's a Shabbat from the Shabbat the 6th of May to May the 12th of May. Write it down. You should not have to wait until I print this out for you. From Shabbat, May 12th to the 12th of May is the 7 days of Matzot, or unleavened bread, Bikurim. Is the first Sunday of the feast of the 7 days, and it's precisely the next day, so then it's Friday, which is the 14th preparation. Starting on the 15th of Friday evening, we already have Pesach, and also the first day of the feast without leaven. The following day after Shabbat is Bikurim. It is 3 days consecutively, and Bikurim, which is the feast of Bikurim, of the barley, it is Sunday the 7th of May, another Shabbat. So then we're going to have it as a Shabbat per se, the 14th, even though it's not a Shabbat, but we take it a Shabbat for preparation. The 14th, the 15th, which is a weekly Shabbat, a Shabbat because it's the first day of the unleavened bread, double Shabbat, and the 16th, Sunday, it is Bikurim. In other words, we have those consecutively. Very well. So those are the dates that I want to give you. And now I want to give you the Feast of Shavuot. But this week I thought about, I don't know, I care less. It came to mind, I want to do this. Make Hair, who loves the polls, I'm going to ask you to do this poll, okay? Just an LVE official, okay? This is the poll. Only for the judges. Judges and people that are in LVE official, but no one else that's listening to me, because you don't understand what we're talking about throughout all these years, and you don't even know when you can watch the videos, so then forget about that. But for those who understood, that are past the judgment, make a poll. I want to know your opinion. And this doesn't matter if you're against, okay? None whatsoever. This is the opinion of every one of you. And especially as judges in LVE official, this is the question. Are the 3.5 years going to be up in 2023 of everything that I've been teaching? The question is, are the 3.5 years that are prophesied in Daniel chapter 7, where the little horn was going to submit the saints for 3.5 years, and after that time, the little horn would be destroyed, and the saints would receive the kingdom. The question is this, it's simple. Are the 3.5 years going to be up in 2023? I'm not giving you any other date, okay? I just left this up so that you can see it. Just a memory. We know that in 2032 is the maximum date, but nothing, there's no prophecies there. But also the rest of the prophecies are not fulfilled. The only possible one is 2023, in order for all the prophecies to be fulfilled, but that is the way I see it, So then I'm asking the judges and those accompanying us in LVE official, what do you believe? Somebody's against this. I want you to say so. Because I don't want to later, let's suppose a horrible thing. If nothing happens, and then you say, those just Christian said this, because, his insanities, and we just believe that because he said it, not because I saw it in the Bible. I want you to be honest and say what you see in the Bible, not what I say. What you see in the Bible. In 2023, are these years fulfilled? And this is because judges, that's why I care about the judges of the Supreme Court of Justice of heaven and earth. For every judge of the Supreme Court of heaven and earth, are these years up or not? It's a poll. Are they fulfilled on 2023? Everything that I've just said, the 3.5 years. If some of you as judges, you say, no, I don't see that they'll be up. I think that they started later, not in 2019. I think they started in 2020 or in 2021, or they didn't even begin yet. I want you to give me your most honest opinion, not because of what I say, but what you yourself see in the Bible. I want you to all vote, because it is a vote from a Supreme Court. Sometimes they say, let's vote on this. It's a vote. And I'll add all those who want to vote also that are in the official LVE group. If somebody's following us here and they're not an LVE official, I'd like to add you. This is the time to add you. There are some that I've seen here that I forgot their name. Says, I'm new, I understand everything, but I can't remember who it was. I think they're listening to me. I don't know if you're a member of the Eternal Truth, the official group. You have to understand everything that I say, that's all. That's fine if you vote here, but those who write here is not what I'm asking for. I'm asking for an official vote of a poll. I want you to see it, because always I'm just the one speaking and I don't even know what you think, but what I care about knowing really is what I care about knowing really. I was looking for someone that was new here. I think, oh yeah, Josue Castillo. If you're not a member of the Eternal Truth officially, send them the link and I'll add you. Oh yeah, hey, no, I'm talking about Josue Castillo. See if they're asking to enter into the Eternal Truth, the official group, and I'll add you. Exactly, that's me, he says. Okay, Josue Castillo. Very well. Yes, if he asks to enter into the official LV group on Facebook, I'll add him. Some of you are not in agreement with this. I'm not even going to be upset. I mean, you're judges. If you say no, it's not going to be up in 2023. We should wait and see. I need to touch in order to believe. Or for me, it'll begin barely when the cow came out. The crib of the cows came out. That is when I'll say, but 2021 I'll start to count, and it takes us to 2024, 25, whatever. It says, but I want you to be honest with me, not with me, but with the whole court, the entire court, to be honest. If you see this, because if all of you see it, then this cannot fail. Him cannot say, no, I mean, I'm gonna wait a little more longer. You understand what I'm saying, right? This whole group, those who condemned Babylon, I want you to vote if you really see what I've just taught you now and in the previous subjects of 2023, if you see it. Very well. And another poll, I want another poll, Jair, another one, separate. And this one is for the judges also, and those that want to also vote, that says, I am in agreement in declaring, because I didn't do so and I want to make it official, I am in agreement in declaring 2023 as the year of the Jubilee. In other words, 5092. That's the other poll. Because if there's somebody that is not in agreement, he has to vote that he's not in agreement. Then he has to add a, don't be anonymous and say, no, I say no, and nobody knows. No, if you say no, be brave. Nobody's going to say anything to you. This is not something, none whatsoever. This is a poll, simply. If somebody says, no, I don't think there's going to be a Jubilee, we have to get to 2032, and that's it, it's over, because I do not agree with this, and I'm a judge. Write it down. With your name and last name, perfect, and nobody's going to criticize you. That's your vote. Okay, that is clear, right? The two polls that I want to talk about that I find that are interesting. Okay, just to make this more fun with you. So we practice what it is to be a judge. Very well. Okay, that's clear. 2 votes. 2023. The 3.5 years are up, and the other one says, is 2023 the Jubilee year? Very well. And I vote that it is a Jubilee because the court says so, and that's it, it's over. Very well. Our subscriptions are up. YouTube, 628 this morning. I don't know if we have another one. 628, little by little, going little by little. Okay, very well. I said that I was going to give you. I didn't write this down. I said that I was going to tell you when Shavuot. Well, next Shabbat I'll tell you. There's no hurry to see when Shavuot will be. There's no hurry. But I do tell you, and I'll remind you, this dates that I loved, and we'll wrap this up. Yom Kippur 2018 is when the purification of the temple of the children of Elohim begins. What is? That's when 1290, that same date, 1290, it's the judgment of Babylon, the last day of the year, and the year ends, and it starts the next year. The next year is when the abomination in the temple begins of all the temples of the world, plus 1290, which is the time for that abomination. Incredibly so, it gets to when precisely the Jubilee begins. On Friday evening, and the repositioning of Babylon, 1290, and the Jubilee begins. But the prophecy says, blessed is he that waiteth, and arriveth unto how many? 1335 days. When are those 1335 days up? On 217. When is 217? It is, well, I didn't write this down exactly, but don't you worry. The 217 of the month of Zif, in other words, Zif is the second month, or Ashar, the 217. And what does 217 have anything to do? Well, that's when the destruction began. I'll read it to you a little bit, in case somebody is lost and says, what does 217 has anything? You always talk about 217. We wait for 217. It was just a practice. What does 217 have anything to do with this? Well, 217 has to do with this. We'll go to Bereshit, chapter Bereshit, chapter 7, 10. No, not the 10th. Okay. Okay. The 11th. 7:11. Bereshit, or Genesis 7:11 says, the year 600 has to do with 6, the day of creation, 6,000. In the year 600 of the life of Noah, Noah means pacificator, when the earth was pacified. In the second month, at the 17th day of the month, that day, were broken all the fountains of the great abyss, and the heaven were opened, and there was a rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. That's 217. On this same day, Noah and Shem coming, Japheth, children of, and the 3 children and their wives. On this same day they entered. On this same day they entered what day? 217. While the destruction of the world began, the pacifier, Noah, on the same day Noah came, and Japheth entered. The wife of Noah and the 3 children of their wives of their children entered with Noah in the ark. Those are all the represent those that accompany, those that are invited. They are wild beasts. And the wild beasts, according to their species, and all the domesticated animals, according to their species, and every reptile according to their species, and every bird according to their species, the elite, and every bird of all species came with Noah to the ark, 2 by 2, and the flood began. What does that have anything to do with anything? The flood began, okay, that's fine. On 2:17, the destruction of the earth. But Yeshua said in Matthew chapter 24, Matthew 24, reads as follows. Yeshua said so. Where are you? Matthew 24 reads as follows. It says, well, I'll start with number 32nd. From the fig tree, in other words, Israel, it's represented. Learn the parable of Israel when there you see that it has buds in their leaves, again, because it's been a curse that it was burned from the root, but it goes back. When you see it has buds due to that generation and the leaves are budded without any fruit, you know that the summer is near. Also ye, when you see all these things, know that it is close. Verily I say unto you that this generation shall not end. Heaven and earth shall pass, but not my words. But of the day and night and hour nobody knoweth, not even the angels of heaven, only my Father. But as in the days of Noah, here it says, what does 2:17 have anything to do with it? But as in the days of Noah, so it shall be the coming of the Son of Man, when the Son of Man is displayed on earth. But as in the days of Noah, so it shall be in the coming of the Son of Man. Because as in the days prior to the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and betrothing themselves until the day, what day? 2:17. Until the day in which Noah entered the ark. What day was it? 2:17. And they understood not, nor will they, because they're all with their abomination, except for the wild beasts that will enter with Noah. And they did not understand until the flood came and took them all. So it shall be. Oh, in the same way, just pay attention. So it'll be the coming of the Son of Man. Very clear. Does it have anything to do with 2:17? We see it, but maybe it's not that exactly. But we see it clearly. Noah says, look at what happened with Noah that day, and it highlights it up until that same day. It says there was no need to highlight it, but he really makes it stand out. 2:17 precisely. Now, if we take from Yom Kippur on, I mean, it's just. I'm gonna end this up because what I give you, where are you gonna find this? I should wrap this up. But from the day Yom Kippur 2019, when the abomination that maketh desolate, the pandemonium in the whole world begins, plus 1335, what does it say? 2:17. 2:17. So then the day in which Noah enters into the sanctity of the ark, it's when the rest begins to be destroyed. And they weren't all destroyed on that day, but it begins there. It says that for 40 days, it starts to rain, and they didn't all die that day. Very interesting. There you have it. Why 2:17? And why all those dates? I hope that the whole world participates in the poll. If the judges that belong to this group, and to participate in the poll. Okay, very well. And of course, I don't expect that there's so many votes of the church, because many judges have been already young youth that don't have an account, and their parents have helped them to vote. I know that everybody doesn't have an account on their own. There's just family accounts, and not everybody has an account. I understand what I'm saying. So then there's no need for there to be 700 votes. But if we do have 700 votes, that'd be great. But there can't be 700 votes. How many people do we have? And How many accounts? Or there's like 300. So starting there, how many members in the eternal truth? Oh, 485. I said 300. 485. Okay, well, 400 votes, that'd be great. Let's see. We'll see. Very well. And I already wrapped this up. Shema Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Ekhad. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our Elohim, Yahweh is one. John 8:38, 1 through 38. Yeshua then said unto the Jews that had believed in him, If ye remained in my word, ye shall be truly my disciples, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Magnificent. Proverbs 25:2. It is the glory of Elohim to conceal the word, yet it is the honor of the king to search out the word. Remember that the other day I said it's the same word, but it's the glory of the king. It is glory of Elohim to conceal the word, yet it is the glory of the king to search out the word. And so then, without knowing this, mind you, I went to eSword and said, let's see if it's the same word, or I just made things. Sometimes I'd say things that I think are that way without knowing anything. What I'm talking about, but by logic, if it is the glory of Elohim to conceal the word, why does it say honor later? Because glory is greater than honor, yes or no? You receive glory and honor, but glory is higher than honor. Glory, that's why it says, it is the glory of Elohim. The glory is for Elohim, and the honor for the king. And I said, no, it's the same word. It has to be glory also for the king. So then I went, and what does Proverbs 2 say? It is kavod. The word kavod in Hebrew is kavod. And what does it mean? I said, splendor, flower, glory, glorified, glorious. Honor also, yeah, honor, to honor someone, noble, power, riches, sanctity, kavod. Kavod, it says the word kavod for Yahweh, kavod of Elohim. Kavod of Elohim is to conceal, hide the word. That is the kavod of Elohim. And what does the second word say? Which I said that it was the same thing, but I say something sometimes. The second word says, but it is the honor of the king. What is it? Kavod. Same word. Why didn't they translate the same word? Because they're sons of bitches. That's why they didn't translate it the same. They say, no. How are we going to give the same glory of the king just like Yahweh? No. With Yahweh, it's the same word, which is the H3519 kavod. Let's translate it for Yahweh's glory. For the king, honor. Even if it's the same word, we want to give more glory into Yahweh than the king. You're wrong, these sons of bitches. Just like I've told you without knowing anything. I said, this is wrong here. Because if the glory of Yahweh is to conceal it, the same glory of those who understand what Yahweh hid, which are kings. So then it says, kavod of Elohim is to conceal the word. Kavod of the king is to search out the word. I was very surprised because I didn't even know that it was the very same word, kavod. I didn't know this, so then there you have it. A little pearl for you. The same glory, absolutely, obviously. If the glory of the one that conceals it, the one that discovers it, has the same glory. Says, no, it's lesser. No, the Bible says it's the same one. Same one, but whom? Of the king. Who's the king? The Son of Man. And who is the Son of Man? The people of the supreme saints, the one that will rule the earth, that will break the nations as if they were a clay pot. That is the king. That is the bride of Yahweh. That has the same glory of Yahweh. But men always, they don't understand this part. Jeremiah 16:19 through 21, the Nakar Kolonga says, Yahweh, my strength and my fortress, my refuge in the day of tribulation. Unto thee shall the peoples come, from the ends of the earth and say, only, nothing but lies has been the inheritance of our fathers, vanity without any avail. If it is man that makes himself gods, then they are not God. That is why I shall make thee know this time. I shall show you, and ye shall know that my name is Yahweh. A text that is incredible, impressive. The Christians would not even be able to comprehend this. Because a Christian say, just to save you, you have to know Jesus. If you don't know Jesus, how are you going to save yourself? Then you go directly to hell. And here the text is all the contrary. The people shall come, the masses of people, they face Yahweh and say, we didn't know any Jesus. In fact, all those things that they gave us are just nothing but lies. And the gods they gave us were false, because if it's man that makes himself gods, the gods that his fathers gave him, then they're not gods. But now we know. That is why I shall make them know. I shall make them known. The people will be saved without knowing Yahweh. Who understands it? No one understands it. No one. And they said, no, the only form of salvation is to accept Jesus and to accept him by faith. Then, barely then can you be saved. In fact, and they say, I'm already saved. And those who don't accept Jesus, they're not saved yet. I already been saved in this year when I accepted Jesus and I got baptized and blah, blah, blah. And they add, not only do you have to accept Jesus, but you have to baptize yourself in Jesus, or else you cannot be saved. You're going directly to hell. How wrong are they? It says that all these people are saved and they don't know Yahweh. It says, but hold on, they gave us nothing but lies. And then the gods that we would worship, they were false because they had created them. It says that's why they're not gods. It says that they're not gods. So then this time I shall show them the strength of my arm, my power, and you shall know, they shall know, because they don't know that my name is Yahweh. They had the best idea. They were worshiping false gods. They were all lies, those that are what they got from their fathers, and they shall be saved. How do the Christians explain that? They can't, because they don't understand it. But that doesn't matter, absolutely, because they are part of that group. But lies has been the inheritance of the Christian fathers. Very interesting, and I'll read this again because it's always applied. Amos 3, 6 through 18, Jerusalem 2001 reads as follows. The shofar, does that sound in a city without shaking up the people, or an evil come to a city, if it's not Yahweh that provokes it? Up until today, I shouldn't even get upset, and I don't get upset. I don't know if I don't get upset. But what happens is that up until today, you can see the comments of people that say that they listen to me. There's a comment there, lost there in the last video. It says, sure, he says, I think. Surely they took out your channel because you teach that God made evil. That's why they took out my channel. But you're making my point. You make my point. You make my point because Yahweh took it out. Yahweh's evil. Yahweh took it out. Yahweh's evil. But the Christians, they cannot conceive that idea. They see God as something pure, just like they were taught. They fed them all those lies. God can't even see evil. That's how the Christians teach. They cannot even be in the presence of evil. They can't even see evil. They have to, Yeshua has to see his son Yeshua. What for? So that, because if they don't see if he sees the sinner, he'll destroy him. So then he sees his son. The son says, don't see them. That's what they teach you in Christianity. Don't see this idiot behind, because if you see him, you'll destroy him. I know you. The Ancient of Days, and you're always upset, and you cannot even see evil. Look at me. So then I'll cover him. So then Yahweh says, and to the Christians, instead of seeing the sinner, he looks at his son, and he approves that is a lie, really stupid. twisted, idiotic lie. But these idiots that listen to they dare write me saying they took out your channel because you say that Yahweh created evil. Yahweh not only can see upon evil, Yahweh designed it and created evil, but your own Bible talks about that. How do you not read? I don't understand. There are things that I don't understand. There are things I don't understand. Tell the truth. Things I don't understand, and I just cannot understand. I do not understand this. How do they dare tell me things, stupid shit like this? What does the text say? Shall an evil come to a city without Yahweh being the one that provoked it? He provokes evil, Yahweh. He provokes it. More than a provoker, he's the creator of the evil. No, they say the Bible answers it. No, not I. The Bible says no, nothing. No evil does Yahweh, the Lord, does without showing his secret unto his servants, the prophets. So then Yahweh, before doing something, first he shows it to his servants, the prophet. That's why he showed it to Noah, and he could do what he could do. Showed it to Moses, and he could do what he had to do, and so on and so forth. That is why it is important that I give you dates, because his children have to know from beforehand. If they are not fulfilled, nothing happens. But the day they will be fulfilled, yeah, we can't just say, yeah, I did it because, well, no, they didn't even notice it, so I had to do it without him saying it. No, absolutely not. You have to declare it. You understand this, right? You have to declare it. Because if we are wrong even, so then, okay, that's fine. After doing that, he'll declare it, period. That's it, it's over. And all the dates that we've seen up until today are impressive, tremendous. Says no, nothing does the Lord Yahweh do without first revealing his secret. Something that people don't know. Who does he reveal his secret to? His servants, the prophets. Does the lion roar? Who shall not fear? If the Lord Yahweh speaks, who shall not prophesy? And we got to the text of why you're here today. Eddie, the head, live after death, Eddie. And you have the little octopus. The little octopus is here present. I wanted to have the couple here today with Eddie and the octopus. For what reason? Because we're going to continue to bother Yahweh until we see in the Jubilee whatever happens up until there. Malachi 2:17. Oh, precisely 2:17. Speaking about 2:17. 2:17. The 17th month, when first destruction, second destruction, that we think that Yahweh says, look at what happened. Remember Noah. But the day, Malachi 2:17 says, you have tired Yahweh with your words, and you say, what have we tired him in? That you say, whoever that does evil pleases Yahweh, and he finds pleasure in them. Or else, where is the Elohim of justice? That is what we're crying out until we tire him out. Where is the Elohim of justice? Up until now, we have not seen him. We do see him through how Yom Kippur 2018 is when the purification began. And now we can see that through Yom Kippur 2019 is when the abomination that maketh desolate began. It is there, but we want to see him in person. Where is it? Where is it? We haven't seen the punishment, the brutal punishment of the wicked. We have not felt the power of Yahweh. We have not received his power. We're still mortal and we can die. So then where is the Elohim of justice? That's just why Eddie's here. Eddie is here, and he's very upset. He's very upset with Eddie. Before entering into the text, I want to show you something. This was also that came from Monica and Miguel, or Miguel and Monica. It got here late, a day later, but they're chocolates that are spectacular, absolutely spectacular. It was part of the other gift, but wow, how delicious are these chocolates. Coconut, with a delicious coconut encoded in milk chocolate. It is coconut filling bathed in chocolate with milk. Spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. Many thanks to Miguel and Monica. Many thanks. Seeing that we don't know where the Elohim of justice is, at least we know where he lives. Past, south, we know where he lives. We don't look upwards towards heaven. No. Not towards heaven, but rather the heaven is that way. After the barrier of the south on this flat earth, this is heaven, everything that surrounds us. So then the kids made a spaceship that it doesn't work yet, but maybe we get power and we make it work. During Tabernacles, the kids built this brutal spaceship of Star Wars. But, I mean, it's good. Oh, I have another piece here. Whatever. I don't know about it. This spaceship, which is this one here. I'm just showing you the pictures here. I'm showing you the pictures. It says that it is 1,036 pieces. Why not 1335, I said. It's 1335 pieces. Very good, very good. And who built it? It was built by, who did it, kids? Brian, Ale, Edward, and who else? Jamie, and Gavi. And of course, a master came to try to help. We got to a point in which it was just up to there, and an expert came and he fixed it up. I'm not going to say, but an expert did come. An expert did come. Because they were stuck. They were saying, we have a piece missing, and an expert came. Is it true what I'm saying or not? Okay. But the spaceship is spectacular, and it opens up. The expert came and says, if we are missing one, we'll make it up. We'll invent it. No, he didn't say that. He didn't say you're all a bunch of idiots. He didn't say that. Look, it's all nice. With this spaceship, we could go past the barrier of the south. If we could make it work. So then this is the model, but one of these days, maybe after 1335 days, we'll make a bigger one that won't need fuel, the fuel that we know, but rather it'll be a fuel that is anti-gravity, even though gravity does not exist, but its weight and density. But either way, we'll go to heaven, just, go past south, just take a little stroll. So we have our spaceship, maybe we can conquer the world with this, who knows. But here it is. The kids had a lot of fun building this spaceship. I wanted to show it to you because it's spectacular. It took days. I almost broke it. It took days to build. Spectacular. And then I have a weapon here on my hand. So that we have 1335. I'll fix it later, kids, because we got to make this one bigger. So then that's one of the things in which they had fun with during Sukkot. I congratulate you. I really do. Very well. The invitational text that we'll read. It's a beautiful stork that seagull rather that. I mean, they're very evil. Actually, they'll take everything from you, but they're so cute. I mean, those innocent ones right there. Invitation text says, wow, 1 hour 38. Invitation text, Isaiah 48, 8 through 9. We've added this text to a whole bunch of subjects just so that you remember it. Remember this and understand it well. That is why we have placed it for you so that you can remember it. Remember this and understand it well. Enter into reason, and I'm saying sinners. Same thing. Remember everything past, everything, even 2:17. Remember everything in the past. From old, since when? Since Bereshit. Since Bereshit itself. Well, we have the destruction of the world, where we have the creation of the world. Remember, since Bereshit, since the beginning, that I tell you all the prophecies, that I am God. Oh, we're not three. No, I am one alone. And that I am is the one that came and called himself Yeshua, but it was the I am Elohim. And there is no, there doesn't exist another Elohim. Here it is very clear. We're not three, we're not two. I don't have a son, I don't have a father. I am alone, the only Elohim, and there doesn't exist no other Elohim, and no one is like unto me. Of course, afterwards, whenever he wanted, he would declare a group of people his children, and those children were going to be the children of Elohim, like unto him. That is why he says, I have begotten thee today in Psalms 2. But just so you understand, that they were not even on that phase of creation, because on the sixth day he creates someone like him. It's like Adam speaking alone and says, no one exists just like me. It is not three, it's not two. Only for those who understand this truth. Very well, we enter into beliefs 24, Yahweh Ekhad 9. We are in the Torah, and we shall speak a little bit about this. But before speaking about the Torah, I'd like to it's 1:40. Well, it's not 1:40. 1:40 is how long I've been speaking. And I like this subject a lot, rather. 290 likes, wow. Those who are watching, 290, and it's 290 likes. Impressive. I am impressed, rather. And we've got 636 followers. How many did I say that we had? 636 accounts that follow this account. Okay, 638. Okay, that's great. It went up 8 since I've started speaking. It went up 8. 636. Look, if you're not subscribed yet, subscribe. Then I'll enjoy reading the post. It is posted on LVE official, right? Both of them already. And is there a lot of cooperation, Leslie? Oh, we only have 5 people voting. Thanks, Haid, from beforehand. I had you do it because you love doing polls. You just love doing polls. Love them. Very well. If we have a lot of movement there, that's perfect. I'm telling you because I'm hungry, and today we're going to eat quesadillas. We're going to eat quesadillas. Angelina made the spectacular green salsas and red and salsa roja. And, pico de gallo. I've had all kinds of salsas, but Angelina is an expert. Exquisite, and I'm hungry already. So I'm sorry for you, but I'm already hungry. But I promised Leslie, and I will follow up, keep my word. I'll read the text that is in the invitation. And the Shemah, I'll read it for next week. But I'm going to read because I'm going to keep my word with Isaiah 46. Isaiah 46, which is precisely within the invitation all the time. So then for next week, Leslie, we could add the Shema. It's just that Isaiah 46 is so marvelous. It is rather marvelous. Okay, very well. Last one I'll give today, and I'll close it up because I want to eat already. I have quesadillas. I just wanted to give you the dates for you to chew them up, digest them. They're great. Let's go with our brethren, the Jews, to have an extra month this year. I didn't know about this, and so I started doing this one after Sukkot. The calendar. Okay, let's go to Isaiah 46, 8 through 13. I'll read it in 3 different versions because this text I love. Rather, I'll read it in the Martín Nieto. I'll read it in the Spanish RV 1960 and in the Jerusalem 2001. Okay, same text, but it's so precious. I love it. Okay, there we go. Isaiah 46, 8 through 13. In the Martin Nieto Spanish version. Remember this and understand it well. Marvelous, remember this. If Yahweh tells you to remember something so that you don't forget this ever. We shouldn't just remember it like a parrot, but also understand it, because just remember it and not understand it, what good is it? If we understand it and we don't remember it, what good is it? Is remember it? Well understood. Remember this and understand it well. Enter into reason. So then Yahweh tells us that we are absolutely, the world is completely out of insane. It says that we are insane, you sinners. Remember the former things. Go back to Bereshit. From old, that I am Elohim, and there doesn't exist any other Elohim. This destroys the Trinity. It destroys just whatever stupidity out there, that I am Elohim, and there doesn't exist any other Elohim. And no one is like unto me. I don't have a son that also unto earth. I have never had a council in heaven. There's not even a Lucifer that wants to be like me. No one, absolutely no one. I am everything. I am Elohim. And there doesn't exist any other Elohim. And no one is like unto me. From the beginning, that is the word since Bereshit. Since the beginning, since Genesis. From the very beginning, and the very first chapter of Genesis, the number 1, since the beginning, I announce the end. Wow, who understands this? It says, from Bereshit, from Genesis, I announce the end. How does he announce it? Well, the 6 days of creation. It's absolutely magnificent. The 6 days, what would happen in every one of those 6 millenniums, and the 7th day is Shabbat. He would rest, and that his bride would be born on the 6th day, the last, and where the beast would be born. Everything is there in the 6 days. 6 days of creation. It is absolutely everything is there prophetically, exactly and precisely. And there's so many marvelous things there. Even how long the world would last, 6 days, 6,000 years. And it says, from the beginning, from Bereshit, from Genesis, I announce the end. And from beforehand, what has yet happened, exactly everything that would happen, the beasts, his bride, everything, how we're going to dominate the beasts. It is said beforehand what had not happened yet. I say, my decision is fulfilled, and everything that I wish I execute. Here it is. The whole creation is something pleased him. He says, my decision is fulfilled, and everything that I want to do, I do it. I execute whatever pleases my gonads, I do. Everything, absolutely everything. From good and evil, everything. Let's see if you have that understood clearly, everything. If I want to become a man, either way, I die, I do whatever pleases my gonads. That's what Yah was saying. From Orient, I call an eagle. Or an eagle is a messenger, same thing. Angel, eagle, messenger, same thing. From Orient, I call an eagle. From a far-off country, the man I have assigned, he assigns everything with anticipation, especially his messengers from a far country, from the end of the world. The man I have assigned, as I speak it, I do it. Exactly the way it is written, I'll do it. If it says 3.5 years for the people, it's 3.5 years. This is excellent. The way what we learned today of Yom Kippur 2018 is where the purification began. Yom Kippur 2019. I told you this last Shabbat without having any dates, just give or take, just from the feast. Remember, from the feast, from autumn, 3.5 years. Well, no, now I've given you mind-bending dates. 1260, 1290, and 1335. I've given you dates. The way I speak it, I do it. The way I plan it, I execute it. Hear me, ye stout-hearted, that are far from righteousness. This can be interpreted in two ways. Hearken unto me, those that are stout-hearted or rebellious heart, and that are far from righteousness is that they are not righteous. You can interpret it that way. But it can also be interpreted in the way I'm going to tell you now. Hearken unto me, ye stout-hearted, those that do not like to be dominated. They have a heart that is wild, and it is not a servant of anyone. It is not a slave of anyone, and it cannot be dominated. Indomitable. So here's the interpretation I'm about to give. It says, hearken unto me. Yahweh says, hey, hearken unto me, those of indomitable heart. What does indomitable mean? Not dominated, exactly. The beast has not dominated our heart, not my mom, nor anyone that wants to have power over us. Indomitable, that has not been tamed. From like a wild animal, rebellious, untamed. Rebellious sounds different. Untamed, right, I mean, it's different. Two, that cannot be dominated. According to the dictionary here, I mean, if we want to be dominated, we're indomitable. We do agree. Third definition is difficult to subdue. I love that. I am indomitable. I have an indomitable heart. The only one that can tame me is Leslie, but that's something else. Free and I mean, I love her crazily, but are you tamed? That's something else. That does not allow himself to be tamed. Perfect. It's difficult to suppress or dominate. I mean, it's magnificent. What am I trying to say? Yahweh says, hearken unto me, those of you of stout-hearted or indomitable heart. But it says something else. It says, those that are far from justice. I am far from justice. I am extremely far from justice. And so where the fuck is the Elohim of justice? I ask you, are we close to justice or far away from? This doesn't mean that we're just or not. We're far from justice. And we expect that there be justice in this world, but it's far away. So then those rebellious that are not close to justice because there's no justice in this world, hearken to me, those of you. I mean, it's good interpreted that way. I read it and you understand it. It says, hearken to me, those of indomitable heart, those that are far from justice. My justice is nigh. So then who is he answering to? To those who are saying, where are you, justice? Where are you, justice? Where is the Elohim of justice? He says, where is it? The octopus says, where is it? Indomitable heart. Those that are rebellious, those that do not allow anyone to tame them or dominate them, nor be marked by anyone. Just shove it. Those things that you want to give us, that is what this indomitable group says. Shove it up your ass. Beast and whatever it might be, that is what it is to have an indomitable heart. You that are far away from justice, we're extremely far away from justice. What does it say? Here it is. It's hearkening to me. What is Yahweh trying to say to that group? My justice is nigh. It is not far off. And my salvation shall not tarry, and I will place my salvation in Zion. I read LVE, that's the way I read it. And my glory unto Israel, unto the tribe of LVEites. Of LVEites. There you have it. So then who we're saying, where is it? Those indomitable hearts. We, for the world, we're the indomitable hearts. The world says, you are the untamed, indomitable, rebellious. There's another word. They say you are conspiracy theorists. Same thing. They're out of place. They just do not adjust themselves to our science or anything. All our beliefs. You don't accept anything. You're out of place, and I don't have the word. I can't remember. indomitable, untamed. Okay, let's go back to this text, but let's go to the Spanish RV 1960. It reads as follows. Isaiah 46, 8 through 13, Spanish RV 1960. Remember this, and show yourselves, men. It actually says, be embarrassed, because you have misunderstood this. Bring it again to mind, O ye transgressors, instead of sinners. Remember the former things of old, from the old times, because I am Elohim, I am God, and there is none else. There is not God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. No, no. There's no God the Father and His Son. Even if we don't call Him God and His Father. No, no, because I am God, and there's no other God. And nothing is like unto me. But it doesn't Paul said that he is the very image of? No, absolutely not. No image. There's only one alone, I am. And that alone created everything. And that alone is in Bereshit. He tells it to you. And that alone came and became human, because I do whatever my gonads please. He's the only one. There's no one else. It's unique. You stupid idiots. Let's see, transgressors. Let's see if you understand it. Be embarrassed that you think it's two. Be embarrassed that you think it's three. Remember this, because I am Elohim, and there is no other Elohim, and there is none like unto me. Nothing like unto me. Nothing. Declaring the end from Bereshit. And from ancient times, from the beginning, it's Bereshit, that's the word. I announce the future from where? From Bereshit. And from old, what I have yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure, everything that I please, everything that comes to mind, I'll do it, because I am Elohim, and there's no other Elohim. I will do whatever I want. And that I call a ravenous bird from the east, and a man that executed my counsel from a far country. I have spoken, and I will bring it to pass. I have purposed it, and I will also do it. Hearken unto me, ye hard-headed, or stout-hearted. It's indomitable, free of heart, free spirits. I like that. I like it better. That are far away from justice. That is correct. We're completely far away. Even if we are righteous, we're far away from justice. I bring near my righteousness. That's what we're asking about. Where is the justice? I'll bring near my justice. It shall not be far off, and my salvation shall not tarry. And I will place salvation in Zion, in LVE, and my glory in Israel. In the LVEites. The LVEites, in the tribe of LVEites, that is where I shall place my salvation. I'll read it in the last version. Isaiah 46, 8 through 13, Jerusalem, 2001. Remember this, and be men, and have brains, ye rebellious. That's odd. Remember this and be men. Okay. Do not be feminine men. It says be men. Be really men. Remember this and be men. Have brains, ye rebellious. Have brains, ye rebellious. Have brains, it says. Brains, I mean, gray matter. Think. Have brains, ye rebellious. Remember the things of old, from the ancient days, for I am God, I am Elohim, and there is none else. How clear is this? How clear is this? No, but I believe in the most holy Trinity. There is no holy Trinity. I am Elohim, and there is no other. I am Elohim, and there is none like me. Isn't it that you have a son that is your very same image? No, no. I am Elohim, and there is none other like unto me. But you have a son. No, I don't have any son. But Jesus said that he was the Son. It was a parable. I am Elohim. There is none like unto me. I announce from the beginning what comes afterwards, from Bereshit, from Genesis, and from the beginning what has yet to happen. I say, my plans come to pass. In all of my wishes, I do whatever my gonads please, I'll do, because I am Elohim. There's no other. All my wishes I will do. I call a ravenous bird from the east, and from a far off country the man that executed my counsel. As I have spoken it, it shall come to pass. The way I have purposed it, so I will do. Hearken unto me, ye that have lost your heart. No, we didn't lose heart, but we are disheartened. We haven't lost it. We're disheartened, brokenhearted, because there's no justice. We're really indomitable and untamed. Those who have lost your heart and that are far from the just. Of course, we're far away from justice. I make my victory come near. It is not far away. My salvation, my Yeshua, my salvation shall not tarry. And I will place salvation in Zion, in LVE. My reward shall be for Israel, and my prey I shall give unto Israel. It also says in glory for Israel. Who is Israel? The LVEites. It is the only group that exists, the only group that condemned Babylon, the only group that understands with 3.5 years, the only religious group that understood everything. It did not allow themselves to be, their temple to be contaminated, not for the abomination that maketh desolate, we didn't even see it as something real, but for all the rest, it is absolutely real. I want to read this in just last version in the Spanish DHH, because we've studied this text so much that I want to read it in the Spanish DHH. Isaiah 46. Isaiah 46, 8 through 13, it reads as follows in the Spanish DHH. Reads as follows. Remember this, ye sinners. Do not illusion yourselves. Do not believe in fantasies. Do not make up fantasies. Think this over well. And remember what has happened since times of old. I am Elohim, I am God, and there is no other. I am God, and there is no other. I am Elohim, and there is no other. I am Elohim, and there is no one else like me. How clear, how can the people believe in the most holy Trinity when actually is the fucked up Trinity? Because it is prostitution. The Trinity does not exist. It says, how can someone continue to believe in the Trinity when it says, I am? It doesn't say we are. It says, I am. I am Elohim, and there is no other. I am Elohim. There is no one like unto me. I announce the end from the beginning, from Bereshit. I announce the future from way before. I say my plans will come to pass. I do whatever I wish. I have called a man from east that will come from far away, like a swift bird of prey, and will do my bidding. I have said I would do it, and I will. Listen to me, you stubborn people. Perfect. What was it? Indomitable people. Indomitable. Who think that the freedom is far off. Exactly. Where the fuck is justice? Where is the liberation? I make my liberation come near, and my salvation shall not tarry. It is not far off. I will give unto Zion the salvation. I will give unto Israel my honor. And then immediately after, we have chapter 47, the fall of Babylon. Magnificent. The fall of Babylon. Very well. We have learned things that are impressive aside from me giving you the calendar and that I told you when the Jubilee would begin. Precisely that Jubilee responds to 1335 days after Yom Kippur 2019, and that gives me chills. It's incredible. 1290, I mean, 1290 to 1290 days from Yom Kippur 2019, that's when we have the Jubilee. That is why it says the abomination that maketh desolate, the pandemonium until the Jubilee, 1290 days. Of course, if it said it that way, I mean, scripture is concealed. It says, blessed are they that get into 1335. What happens in 1335 to 17? Like in the days of Noah. If the Lord allows it, we shall meet again next Shabbat. Let us wrap up with a word of prayer. Beloved Yahweh, we give you thanks because you show us that there is an indomitable group, rebellious, that is untamed and that is complaining and is far away from justice, because you are justice. You're the only one that can give justice, and you are far away. Where is the Elohim of justice? And that group you speak to, that is the group you speak to. It says, hear ye hear those indomitable of you that do not allow anyone dominate you, not the beast. No one can dominate you. It is a pride of lions. You hearken unto me, that you're complaining because the justice is away from you. I tell you, justice is near. Justice comes to Zion. Justice comes to you. And you have shown us today that everything is according to Daniel chapter 7 and Daniel chapter 12. That there is a time for Babylon. There is a time for the horn, and that the horn thinks, makes plans, but they will not be able to execute, for there is a judgment that your children have executed. And after that judgment, in the time that is assigned, destruction will come for that little horn and the rest of the beasts. All that has shown us, and we clearly see it in history that we have lived and what will soon happen. I ask you that you continue to teach us and strengthen us and instructing us and purifying us up until the soon day in which the reward comes to Babylon. All this we thank you for. We continue to ask you, and we will ask you, where is the Elohim of justice? This indomitable group asks, where are you, Elohim of justice? In your precious name of our Father, our only one, of our husband, our only husband, of the only Elohim that exists, that has ever existed, that has created everything, and that has made his bride. In that name, Yahweh Sabaoth, Yeshua HaMashiach. Alleluia. Semper Fi. Last Shabbat, I watched the video and I said, I didn't say Semper Fi. Wow, I forgot it. And then I said, where's the Semper Fi? You have to remind me. If I don't say Semper Fi, you say Semper Fi. Say Semper Fi. You say it. Yell out, Semper Fi.
Semper Fi.
Semper Fi. Very good. Semper Fi. For every one of you, always faithful. Long live the sons of Elohim. Yeshua reigns, Alleluia, to every one of you. If the Lord allows it, we shall meet again next Shabbat. Let us wrap up with a prayer. Well, an applause, rather. We've already prayed, but an applause for the children of Elohim. Do not forget to vote on the poll if you're a member and you listen to the Eternal Truth. If you're not a member, okay, so Leslie just allowed 19 people into the Eternal Truth group in Facebook. That is great. Perfect, perfect. If you're listening to this afterwards and you're not a member, you can become a member. We'll accept you. May the Lord bless you and keep you. If the Lord allows it, we'll meet again next Shabbat. Hallelujah.